Battle of Stalingrad is heralded as the single bloodiest battle in the history of human conflict, lasting 5 months, 1 week, and 3 days. This battle was the height of the clash between the Axis powers and the Soviet Union. 160 days of constant fighting between the forces of 4 countries: Fascist Italy, Nazi Germany, Hungary, and the United Socialist Soviet Republic. You may notice that the majority of this footage is taken by the Axis, when you see the V's on the shoulders of uniforms or the Wehrmacht Hawk on their chests. This is because every Soviet fought the Battle of Stalingrad. Every man and boy, civilian or soldier. Very few had the luxury of holding a camera rather than a rifle. In 1939, the civilian population of Stalingrad was just shy of 445,000. The Axis sent over 400,000 Germans, 220,000 Italians, and 200,000 Hungarians, totaling a force of over 800,000 soldiers sent to Russia during the invasion of 1942 by the Axis. Russia sent over 2 million. The Russian philosophy in countering Operation Barbarossa can be summarized in just 6 simple words: 5 Russians for every 1 German. This is a casualty rate the USSR could afford, but the losses the Soviets faced were still devastating. During the cold fights of the winter, the Axis soldiers were slowed down, resulting in efforts to flank Soviet soldiers. However, the Soviets were one step ahead. During Operation Uranus, the Soviets utilized mechanized and infantry forces to encircle and trap the Axis forces within the city, locking them in. This operation was no easy feat, but once it was complete, there was no retreat for the Axis. The Red Army, after mounting so many losses, had finally taken back their city and turned the tide of the battle, taking the offensive. The only way the Axis could have countered Operation Uranus was via a breakout, in which encircled forces would focus one specific point within the circle and push through, allowing a breakage within said circle. However, Adolf Hitler would not allow this, instead trying for supply drops from the air to keep the encircled soldiers fighting out of fear of losing the city. Stalingrad was one of the most important targets of Operation Barbarossa due to its industrial capabilities and its closeness to the Volga River. German access to the Volga River would have allowed German forces to cut off trade and any attempts at Soviet military deployment. This short-sightedness caused the Germans to lose the city quickly. Around 800,000 Axis soldiers were killed in battle or in labor camps after the war, with 40,000 Soviet civilians and 1.1 million Soviet soldiers killed, bringing the final death toll of Stalingrad to 1.94 million. That combined loss of life is still more than if Wyoming, Vermont, and DC were all wiped out at the same time. I want you to draw the shape of the US to the best of your ability, and then take 1.94 million divided by 331.9 million, multiplied by 100. That is the percentage of US citizens that would equate to the number of lives spent due to the Battle of Stalingrad compared to the current US population as of 2021. Now shade that percentage into the shape of the US you just drew. I truly hope that puts this battle in perspective for you. And before you go, I'd like you to remember these words. Вечная память. Memory everlasting in Russian. Ты добычи не дождешься, черный ворон